Oh, hi there, everyone. It's Linda Booth here from Just for Tummies. We've had quite a few new followers on our social media platforms. And so I thought, well, welcome if you're a new follower. So I thought I'd just jump on here and let you know a little bit about me, the rest of the team at Just for Tummies, and about why I developed a targeted range of digestive health supplements. So first of all, I need to go back a few years. In fact, I need to go back 32 years, which is when I first started my journey in complementary health. So I'm 63. I've been married to Kevin, my physiotherapist, osteopath husband, for coming up for 43 years. And we have one son. And Just for Tummies is a family business. It's myself, my husband, and our son, Colin. So yes, my career in complementary health started 32 years ago. And back then I started training in remedial massage. I think it's called sports massage now, but back then it was remedial massage. The word remedial, to remedy a deficiency, and in that case, a deficiency, a problem in muscle tissue. So I also trained in what's called myofascial release and trigger point therapy. These are all physical therapy techniques to release knots and tension in muscle tissue. And I also trained in therapeutic ultrasound that's part of electrotherapy, like Faradic. You may have heard of Faradic. And I also trained in dry needling. That's using acupuncture needles to inactivate tight, tense muscles, trigger points in particular. And then my husband, he was made redundant from his job, and he used some of his redundancy money to train in physiotherapy and osteopathy. So he joined me at the clinic, and we ran a very busy musculoskeletal clinic together. And we got very busy. We had, a good reputation for getting people out of pain. But since I was a child, I'd always suffered with constipation, not chronic constipation, but slow transit, a slow bowel. And I decided to seek help from a medical herbalist. I went to see a medical herbalist in Oxford, a well-known medical herbalist, and she advised me to have colon hydrotherapy treatment. And I said, what? I'd never heard of colon hydrotherapy treatment. So she explained what it was, and I was lucky enough to find a practitioner quite close to where I live. So I went to have colon hydrotherapy treatment, and it was one of those light bulb moments that you get in your life, and your life, or at least your working life, your career is never the same again. So I decided, because it helped me so much, colon hydrotherapy, and sorted out my constipation, but lots of other improvements in my health as well, more energy, more clarity of mind, better skin, I decided that I wanted to train in this particular therapy. But I was very busy in clinic, and I loved doing my massage and acupuncture and electrotherapy. And I was working 6 days a week. And I thought, how am I going to integrate colon hydrotherapy into my busy musculoskeletal practice? But I wanted to, and I did the training. And what I did, I decided to do 2 days a week carrying out colon hydrotherapy treatments, and the rest of the week doing my physical therapy treatments. But it wasn't too long before the colon hydrotherapy just began to take over. I began to get more and more inquiries for the treatment, not just from people who suffered with constipation, but people who had irritable bowel syndrome, where they had painful bloating, cramps, acid reflux. There is a connection between what's happening in the gut further down and acid reflux, and I can do a video and explain that another time. But I began to get very busy, so my colon hydrotherapy treatment days began to get more, and my physical therapy days began to get fewer, until I made the decision to stop carrying out my physical therapy treatments altogether, and I passed my clients on to Kevin and other therapists in the area, and I concentrated on colon hydrotherapy and helping people who had a wide range of digestive and gut issues. And I absolutely loved being a colon hydrotherapist. So again, I got very, very busy in clinic, working 6 days a week from 9 until sometimes from 9 in the morning until sometimes 8 in the evening. And I had a reputation of being the therapist to go to if you tried everything else and nothing had worked. So my appointment book got booked up, and I was booked up 6 months in advance, but people were still contacting me, phoning me, emailing me, needing help. So I would explain, look, I'm fully booked up. I can put you on my cancellation list. But in the meantime, let me try and help you. So I asked them a few questions. I wanted to know what their symptoms were, how long they'd had their symptoms, what did they think triggered their symptoms? Because when it comes to symptoms, I say to people, there must have been a time when you felt really well and you didn't have constipation, bloating, cramps, acid reflux. So what happened? What was the trigger? Think back. I also wanted to know their antibiotic history, and if they had a history of any gut infections like food poisoning, gastroenteritis. I wanted to know what medications they were taking, and I wanted to know what age they were. And then I gave them a simple, inexpensive supplement protocol. But of course, the supplements that I recommended back then were not my own, because Just for Tummies hadn't even been thought about. So I did this for quite a while, and Kevin, my husband, overheard me one day giving some advice to a lady on the phone. And afterwards he said to me, why don't you, sorry, that's a dog barking, not my dog. Why don't you develop your own range of supplements to help people who have digestive and gut health issues? And I said to him, I said, oh, Kevin, you know how busy I am in the clinic, 6 days a week from 9 until 8. How can I possibly fit that in? But it planted the seed in my mind. And I think that the tipping point for me when I actually decided to go ahead with it was one day a young woman came to see me in the clinic, and she was a personal trainer, and she also entered natural bodybuilding competitions, but she suffered with bloating. She had bloating that affected her confidence, of course. And I always asked people, new clients, to bring with them to the first consultation any supplements that they were taking. And this young woman came to the clinic, and she walked into my treatment room with her gym bag. And I just assumed that her gym bag had got her gym kit in, but it hadn't. It had got all the supplements that she was taking to help reduce her bloating. They obviously were not working, otherwise she wouldn't be in my clinic seeking my help. So we got all these supplements on the table on my desk, and there must have been about 15 different supplements. And there and then I decided that I was going to go ahead and I was going to develop my own range of supplements. And our son Colin came up with the name Just for Tummies, which I think is a great name because that's what we specialise in, tummy health. So we launched in 2015, so it will be 8 years this month actually since we launched Just for Tummies. But it took me 18 months prior to that to actually decide what supplements I was going to have in the range. And I will be eternally grateful to all of my clinic clients who came for consultations and treatments with me, because without them, I wouldn't have been able to put this range together. Because 27 years in clinical practice and talking to tens of thousands of people who suffered with common digestive and gut health symptoms enabled me, and me recommending lots of different supplements, other manufacturers' supplements, but probiotics, specific strains ones, natural digestive enzymes, activated charcoal, omega-3 fish oil capsules, garlic, milk thistle, maybe a good quality multi-mineral as well in the mix. So without those clinic clients, Just for Tummies wouldn't exist. So I'll be eternally grateful to all of those people who put their trust in me and came to see me for help with their symptoms. So yes, we launched in August of 2015. And so being in practice for 27 years, I was able to sort out the wheat from the chaff in terms of which strains of bacteria, probiotic bacteria, were the ones that would help increase transit time in the bowel, so relieve constipation, which ones would relieve uncomfortable bloating, which ones would relieve acid reflux. Um, the best activated charcoal, I recommend activated charcoal a lot, especially if someone's had food poisoning, but also for bloating, of course. Digestive enzymes to help reduce bloating. If you're over the age of 50, and certainly if you're taking a proton pump inhibitor, a strong antacid that slows down, well, not slows down the production of stomach acid, it virtually switches off the production of stomach acid, then you may suffer with bloating, because stomach acid helps to digest your food, especially proteins. And of course, stomach acid helps to stop pathogens from getting into your gut, bugs, parasites. So if you haven't got any stomach acid, then there's an increased risk of you suffering with a stomach infection. So this is where digestive enzymes can help, not only with helping to digest your food, but helping to kill any pathogens that are getting into your stomach and could be that gateway into your gut and causing an infection. So I did my research and I put together a targeted range. About a year and a half after developing the initial range, I was still in practice in the clinic, and a lady came to see me. She'd been referred to me by her gastroenterologist at the hospital because she suffered with chronic constipation. And chronic constipation, this is where someone can't have a bowel movement for 2 or 3 weeks. And they tried all the different laxatives or phosphate enemas, and they just could not help this lady with her chronic constipation. What they could have done at the hospital, of course, they could have carried out a procedure called manual bowel evacuation, and that's where you go into theatre, you're put under anaesthetic, the medics glove up, and they literally pull the feces out of your bottom. But with this procedure, there was a high risk of getting an infection, and this particular lady was antibiotic resistant, so they were very reluctant to carry out this kind of procedure. So they referred her to me for colon hydrotherapy. And I managed to sort out the constipation after a couple of colon hydrotherapy treatments. But I was intrigued as to why she'd become antibiotic resistant. And she told me it was because for decades she'd suffered with urinary tract infections. And so she'd had multiple courses of antibiotics, which maybe had contributed to her constipation, because if you are deficient in friendly bacteria in your gut, it can affect transit time. But the antibiotics, the multiple courses, had also made her antibiotic resistant. And I remember thinking at the time when I was carrying out the treatment on her, I just remember thinking, well, I was angry. I'll be honest, I was angry, and the hackles on the back of my neck just came up, the hairs on the back of my neck just stood up, thinking this poor woman had become antibiotic resistant because there was no other solution to help her manage and reduce her urinary tract infections. So there and then, I went home that evening and I said to Kevin, my husband, I said, I am going to develop another probiotic specifically for women who suffer with urinary tract infections. So I did my research, and there's a particular strain of bacteria called Lactobacilli reuteri. That's the one that's in our For Women capsules, together with Lactobacilli acidophilus and Lactobacilli rhamnosus. I decided to put those extra 2 in for immune support and for general digestive and gut support. So that's why I developed the For Women 18 months after the initial range, and I would love to develop more strain-specific probiotic supplements too. But anyway, that's the story of Just for Tummies. I thought I'd explain that and tell you new followers who we are. We're a family-run business. Like I say, it's myself, it's Kevin, my husband, and Colin, our son. And that's the story behind Just for Tummies. So if you or anyone you know has a digestive or gut problem and they're just struggling with it, then do contact us. You're welcome to email us, feelgood@justfortummies.co.uk, or message us on social media. Thanks very much for listening, and bye bye for now.